Every day, you wake up with a clean balance of a single, finite currency. It is not money. It is not time. It is your attention. But before your feet even touch the floor, 1,000 silent transactions have already begun. The digital economy does not want your ideas. It wants your focus, and it is bidding on it in milliseconds. Every notification, every swipe, every infinite scroll is a microloan you take out against your cognitive reserve. And like any loan, it comes with a high, compounding interest rate. You do not notice the drainage because the currency is silent. You believe you are simply relaxing, passing the time. But in the background, your capacity for deep thought is being systematically bankrupted. We worry about the major failures in our lives, the projects we didn't start, the relationships that drifted. But the real tragedy is cumulative. It is a million tiny attention leaks that eventually sink the ship. The human brain did not evolve to handle this density of stimulation. We are wired to seek novelty, but in the modern wilderness, that evolutionary urge has been weaponized against us. Welcome to the attention debt, the most expensive, invisible invoice of the modern era. And you are paying it every single day. We catalog our steps, we track our calories, and we document our professional goals. But we remain blissfully ignorant of the ledger that matters most, where our mental focus actually went. Because if we opened that ledger, the math would terrify us. We are trading our highest cognitive potential for momentary, shallow amusement. A fragmented mind is an expensive mind. It requires more energy to perform basic tasks. It feels more anxious, and it is infinitely easier to control. Distraction is not a harmless escape. It is the quiet, daily decay of your ambition. It allows you to feel busy while ensuring you accomplish absolutely nothing of value. We have built a culture that mistakes digital noise for momentum. We believe that because we are constantly reacting to notifications, we are somehow moving forward. But reaction is the opposite of creation. When you spend your day reacting to what is pushed to your screen, you're letting others write the script of your life. Psychology calls this the cognitive switching penalty. Every time you look away from your work to check a message, your brain pays a silent tax. It takes up to 20 minutes to recover your original depth. So that 5-second look at your phone was not free. It cost you 20 minutes of focus, and the cumulative toll over a lifetime is astronomical. This is where the invoice becomes tragic. The price of our distractions is not just lost time. It is the loss of the creative works, the books, and the businesses we never built. We look at the gulf between our plans and our actions, and we blame our willpower. But the real problem is that we are trying to build a bridge while our hands are constantly being pulled away. Neurobiology shows us that focus is a physical resource. Your prefrontal cortex can only sustain deep attention for a limited period before it requires rest. But we do not rest. We distract. Your phone is not a rest. It is a source of high-intensity cognitive load. When you switch from your work to a screen, You are not recharging your battery. You are draining it under a different light. This is how we end up in the limbo of the modern mind. Exhausted but not rested. Busy but not productive. Connected but completely isolated from our actual potential. It is time to reevaluate the price of convenience. We were promised a world where technology would free our time, but instead, it has harvested our attention. Because your attention is the crop, and the harvest is incredibly profitable for everyone except you. The cost of your focus is nothing less than the life you choose to build. If you do not pay for it proactively, it will be sold in pieces in the background. This is where the report begins. The moment we look at the ledger, calculate the debt, and decide to buy back our mind. Dramatic pause. 3 seconds. To solve the attention crisis, we must understand the chemical running the transaction: dopamine. Most people believe dopamine is the reward itself, but neuroscience shows it is actually the hormone of anticipation. It is the chemical that drives you to search. It is the whisper that says, "Look at the screen. There might be something beautiful waiting for you." Every notification, every swipe, every red dot triggers a micro spike of this chemical. It is a tiny, instant reward for absolutely zero effort. But when the brain is flooded with cheap, effortless dopamine, it recalibrates. It raises the price of everything else. Suddenly, writing a page, reading a book, or building a business feels impossibly expensive. To protect itself from overstimulation, the brain does something dramatic. It pulls down its dopamine receptors. It closes the gates. This is the biological explanation for why you feel bored by reality. You have desensitized your system. The natural contrast of the world has been washed out. We have become a society that cannot tolerate a single moment of empty space. We check our screens in elevators, in lines, at traffic lights, because the silence of our own minds has become painful. But boredom is not a design flaw. Boredom is the space where the brain consolidated memory, integrates learning, and sparks original thought. When you kill the space, you kill the ideas. You trade the future masterpiece for a 3-second video of someone else's life. This loop is not accidental. It was designed by behavioral engineers who know how the human nervous system responds to variable rewards. It is the exact same mechanism used in slot machines. Every refresh of your feed is a pull of the slot machine lever. Will it be a bad post, a boring image, or a sudden burst of laughter? The uncertainty is what keeps you hooked. Your nervous system has been rented, and the rent is paid in the years of focus you will never get back. This erosion has a profound biological cost. As your attention span shrinks, your ability to read a single dense page, maintain a conversation, or focus on a problem for more than 2 minutes actively decays. We feel the cracks in our daily life. The feeling of cognitive exhaustion, the inability to finish a task without checking a phone, the constant, low-level anxiety of missing out. Your brain is running on cognitive junk food. It is full, but it is starving of actual nutrition. We are pushing our biology past its limits. The human nervous system was not designed to process 1,000 updates a day while maintaining sanity. And the price is a life lived in the shallows, a life where you skim the surface of everything: work, relationships, thought, but never dive deep into anything. The invoice of a shallow mind is paid in lost depth. You become a spectator in a world that requires actors. Reclaiming your focus is not a matter of willpower. It is a biological rebellion. It requires changing the physics of your daily behavior. We must treat our nervous system as an experiment. We must test what happens when we restrict the cheap inputs and observe how the brain heals. Because the brain is plastic. If you restrict the cheap dopamine, your receptors will reopen. The world will regain its contrast. But this recalibration is painful. It requires sitting with the boredom, the itch, the phantom vibration of your phone, and choosing to remain still. The ultimate metric of cognitive freedom is your ability to sit quietly in a room alone, doing nothing. If you cannot do that, you're not free. It is time to buy back your mind. The transaction is waiting. Dramatic pause. 3 seconds. Every financial advisor tells you to audit your small expenses, but no one tells you to audit your small distractions, and the invoice of those distractions is calculated in the years you lose. Because distraction is not just a habit, it is an avoidance strategy. It is the shield we use to protect ourselves from the terrifying anxiety of real, focused effort. We divide our days into 15-minute blocks of scroll, 10-minute blocks of email, and 5-minute blocks of social media. We have fragmented our time to the point where no single block is large enough to contain an original idea. This is pseudo-productivity. It feels like work. It looks like speed. But in reality, you are just reorganizing deck chairs on the Titanic while your actual potential sinks. And the invoice of this behavior is calculated in opportunity cost. The price of the book you didn't write, the business you didn't start, the skill you didn't master. Because focus is a compounding asset. When you interrupt your focus every 10 minutes, you prevent the compound interest of deep work from ever accumulating. You're taxing your brain. The constant switching between tasks is cognitive friction, and it burns up the glucose and energy your prefrontal cortex needs for real work. This is the ultimate transaction. You're trading your economic leverage for digital dopamine. An attention deficit eventually becomes a financial deficit. We blame our lack of willpower, but willpower is a limited battery. In an environment designed to harvest your focus, relying on willpower alone is like bringing a knife to a laser fight. We feel the cracks in our daily life, the sense of constant hurry, the low-level anxiety that we are forgetting something, the feeling that we are playing catch-up with our own thoughts. Your brain is running on empty calories of noise. It is full, but it is starving of actual cognitive nutrition, and we pay in fragility. When we cannot sit with discomfort for 5 minutes without looking at a screen, we castrate our natural resilience. We lose the capacity to handle life's real frictions. We hide in a sterile digital world where every interaction is curated, every surprise is automated, and every trigger is avoided. We cure the friction of reality by killing our connection to it. But growth requires friction. When you run from the boredom or the difficulty of a task to check your screen, you run from the exact discomfort required to build your mind. This is the tyranny of wellness, the belief that you must be perfectly aligned, completely relaxed, and entirely healed before you can execute your work. It is a lie designed to keep you consuming. The people who build extraordinary works do not work in sterile, quiet mental landscapes. They learn to perform in the middle of the noise. They carry their distractions like bags as they run, because time does not pause for your recovery. The calendar is a brutal, objective accountant. It counts every day you spent scrolling up as a day you chose not to live. This is the psychological opportunity cost. The price of the device you scroll on is cheap. The price of the decades you spent on it without executing is astronomical. We often fall into the trap of intellectual snobbery. We believe that because our suffering is complex and highly analyzed, it is somehow more noble than the simple, gritty struggle of action. This is why people who know absolutely nothing about pop psychology often change their lives overnight. They do not have a vocabulary to explain why they are stuck, so they simply move. When you talk about your problems, your brain experiences a false sense of resolution. The emotional release, the catharsis, makes you feel like you solved the issue, while the physical reality of your life remains completely unchanged. Therapy and self-analysis. Without behavioral change is just a monthly subscription to buy temporary relief from your guilt. It is an expensive way to remain the same. The world does not care about your explanation. The market does not pay for your insight. Your relationships do not heal because you understand why you hurt them. The universe only responds to what you do. It is time to tear up the death certificate of your potential. You have studied the cage long enough. Dramatic pause. 3 seconds. If focus is the currency being stolen, how do we buy it back? The solution does not require complex mental hacks. It requires a cold, deliberate redesign of your physical reality. We must return to Skinner's core principle of behavioral design. Do not try to change your willpower. Change your environment. If your phone is in the same room where you work, you have already lost the transaction. Make distraction expensive. Put your phone in another room, inside a timed lockbox, or delete the apps entirely. Force your lazy brain to pay a high physical friction cost to switch tasks. Rebuild your dopamine baseline. You must intentionally practice periods of low stimulation. Walk without headphones. Eat without a screen. Let your brain experience the natural stillness of unoccupied time. Restore your capacity for deep work. The prefrontal cortex can learn to focus again, just as it learned to distract. Start with 20 minutes of uninterrupted focus. Build up to 90. Stop measuring how many hours you sat at your desk. Measure your output. Did you produce? Did you write the page? Did you write the code? Everything else is pseudo work. Define boundaries around your digital inputs. Do not check your phone for the first hour of the day. Do not bring screens to the bedroom. Protect the transitions of your life. Expand your window of tolerance for empty space. The next time you feel the urge to pull out your phone while waiting, pause. Take a deep breath. Look at the room. Reconnect with reality. Rediscover the biological joy of creation. The satisfaction of a completed task is a clean, long-lasting dopamine reward. It builds your self-respect. It does not drain it. This is systematic retraining. Your attention span is a muscle that has been allowed to atrophy. It will take time, friction, and daily practice to rebuild it. Use accountability devices. Share your progress publicly. Invest money up front, or automate your deadlines. Do not trust your future self to be strong. Build systems that force you to be. Your identity is not a collection of thoughts hidden inside your head. Your identity is the sum of where your attention actually went. You are what you focused on. Forget the fantasy of the stress-free life. Focus is not the absence of storm. It is the ability to do the work while the storm is howling. The peace is built inside the effort. Learn to distinguish between self-care and self-paralysis. True self-care is not always comfortable. Sometimes, the most loving thing you can do for yourself is to force your attention to remain where it matters. Plant your attention in reality. Build physical things. Talk to real people. Collect empirical data from the actual universe, not from curated digital streams. And when you do, something beautiful happens. The endless, exhausting digital noise in your head begins to fade. The brain finds its peace not in passive contemplation, but in concentrated action. Your capacity for deep thought is not a theoretical concept. It is the empirical data you collect after you have spent hours, days, and weeks in execution. It is time to step out of the book. The analysis is complete. The digital diagnostic phase is closed. The experiment is live. Look back at the cage of digital noise one last time. Notice how small it looks. Notice how easy it is to simply walk away. The real world is waiting for you. It has no feed, no scroll, and no automated validation. It is vast, unpredictable, and real. Stop searching for more notifications. Start collecting more scars of action, the scars of attempts, the scars of risks, the scars of a life actually built. Close the screens. Stop the scroll. Buy back your mind. Because the ultimate price of any distraction is the life you didn't live while you were busy paying for it in pieces. This is the Behavior Report. Subscribe if you're ready to pay the price of action. See you in the next report.